It's coming. The people are coming. The Dayton Hamvention has landed in Xenia, Ohio. Hello, Xenia. Welcome back to another episode of X-Town, the podcast dedicated to our community. I am Josh Long, the host. Just a reminder to visit Xenia's Word on the Street for all your local news, events, and views at xeniaword.com. All right, well, the week is here. I'm sure you've read about it on Facebook, received letters in the mail, even seen it on TV. It's coming. The people are coming. The Dayton Hamvention has landed in Xenia, Ohio. In fact, right now, as I'm recording this, just a few days before the show kicks off on Friday, the signs are being put up. The fairground is being transformed. Preparations for this event have been a year in the making. Boots have been on the ground at the fairground for a couple weeks now. Traffic will start arriving by Thursday. In fact, Thursday is the move-in day, with thousands of vendors will be converging onto the fairgrounds to set up their booths, park their RVs. It's estimated that 25,000 people will be on the fairgrounds over the 3 days of the event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, what is the Dayton Hamvention? See, some background about me. I am an amateur radio operator. My call sign is W8KDL. In fact, I've been a volunteer with the Dayton Hamvention for over 12 years. Even was on the management committee for some time. The event has been held in Trotwood for over a few decades at the Hare Arena, and Xenia was selected as one of the locations to be chosen when the Hare Arena closed down earlier last year. And as such, the Greene County Fairground Exposition Center is now the new home to this international event. So let's first start about what is amateur radio. And I invite you to Google to get all the details. But amateur radio is really two things. First, it's a public service. It is a licensed service by the FCC. It is used as a primary and backup communication, amateur radio is, amongst many government agencies, including FEMA, the Red Cross, even locally here in Greene County. It's used as a primary backup to our police and fire services. It's also used as the primary communication in a lot of public service events. For example, one of the largest being the Air Force Marathon, which is held every year in September. Amateur radio operators provide communications back to race officials about how the water stops are doing, any medical emergencies, and how the flow of the runners are doing. Just an example. They also do this for a couple marathons here in Xenia. I'm a member of XWARN, Xenia's Weather Amateur Radio Net. It is both the local amateur radio club here in Xenia, and is also kind of home base for the Greene County weather spotters, because weather spotting is another avenue which amateur radio is used every year, particularly this time of year, while trained weather spotters are out and about in the community, reporting back to the Weather Service what they're seeing during those types of severe storms, tornadoes, and so on. So what is the Dayton Hamvention then? The Dayton Hamvention is an annual gathering of amateur radio enthusiasts, because there's two sides of amateur radio. One was public service I just described, and the other is fellowship, community, a hobby. In fact, sitting on my desk in front of me is an amateur radio, which I enjoy speaking all over the world, even off the world to the space station, as a hobby, as a pastime. And the Dayton Hamvention is one of the, if not the largest, gathering of amateur radio enthusiasts from all over the world. It is the largest in our country. People come from all over the world, and I'm not just, from the Dayton area, from the United States, from Canada and Mexico, but I'm including all of Europe, Australia, Japan, the Middle East. Qatar normally sends a good contingent. People from all over the world will be coming to the Dayton Hamvention this weekend. Its impact on our local economy is going to be rather large. Some of it recoupable through things like sales tax, some not. That's what amateur radio is. That's what the Dayton Hamvention is. It's thousands upon thousands of people enjoying selling and buying goods. There's an huge outdoor flea market, many indoor vendors, all the major radio producers, ICOM, Kenwood, Yaesu, who not only produce amateur radio equipment, but also public service equipment, fire and safety equipment, radios. They will be there on site. There's forums held all weekend from speakers to speak on the topic of amateur radio. There's a balloon launch, a weather balloon launch. They will do some satellite communication from the event. It is a must see if you're into technology. The flea market and the indoor vendors are not just selling radio equipment, they're selling technology, computers, even old technology, Geiger counters. There's a lot of military surplus sold there. So I would encourage you, if that sounds interesting to you, to go in and purchase a ticket. It's a 3-day event. Come and check it out. If you're not interested in attending the event, it's still going to impact you on several fronts. So let's get the obvious out of the way. Traffic. You've read about it in the paper today. You've probably received letters. Traffic is a big concern. As a volunteer for Hamvention, I can tell you traffic will be an issue, particularly Friday and Saturday. Now, the event is 3 days. Setup runs 4 days, so they'll be setting up on Thursday. The event will open Friday morning at 8 a.m., Saturday again at 8 a.m., and then Sunday at 8 a.m. The event runs to about 5 or 6 o'clock each day, with the exception of Sunday, where the event will close approximately at 1 p.m. Sunday's a really light day. It's probably not going to be too big of a deal. It normally wasn't at Hare Arena. Friday and Saturday was a big deal. And as the city has been letting people know, from about 6:30, 7 a.m. to about 10 a.m., traffic will be very congested. They're doing their best to route traffic off of 35 down Treybine through the back roads to the fairgrounds. They will have police officers at lights, for example, at Ankeny Mill and 68, or Detroit there in town, who will be manually controlling the traffic lights to ensure traffic flows. You're going to see a push of traffic coming in the morning of Friday and Saturday, and again around 5 or 6, the traffic leaving the event. Throughout the day, it will be steady, but it won't be a rush like it will be before and after the event. So outside of just traffic, the hotels are filled up, so that's going to be an impact. The restaurants will be busy, busier than normal, so the restaurants and hotels are going to be busy. The biggest thing I could recommend is avoid the area if you don't need to go around the fairgrounds, if you don't need to be on that quadrant of the north part of Xenia, to avoid that area. Beaver Creek, around the mall, where a lot of the hotels are, they're seeing an increase in traffic. It's going to be just like any other event in Beaver Creek. Events of this size come to the Nutter Center very frequently, so the Beaver Creek area is used to the crowds, they're used to the traffic. Even if it's poorly coming in and out of the Nutter Center, they're at least used to the restaurants and the hotels over there. And Xenia, we're not used to doubling our population and just for one event, for one weekend. So it's going to be neat to see how we adjust. I'm sure that our community and our neighbors will invite these regional and national, international visitors with open arms. And they're going to enjoy the restaurants in our city, along with the food trucks and stuff on the fairground. I will tell you, though, for a lot of people who come to the fairground for Hamvention, they park their car in the morning and they don't leave till the evening. They live there on site. They're visiting friends from all over the world. They're shopping for hours. They're attending forums. They really enjoy staying on the ground and being in that company. That's why a lot of food trucks are going to be on site. There is another side of the impact I wanted to just briefly talk about that's not given enough credit. When you have a large event like this come into the community, it puts a rather large burden on infrastructure. And what I mean by that is not only traffic, but there's 24-hour coverage of this large event from police departments, the fire department. It is a combined effort because the actual fairgrounds is split, sitting in the township and the city limits. So both the township fire department and the Xenia City Fire Department will have boots on the ground there. Both the sheriff department and the police department will be involved, boots on the ground there directing traffic. It is estimated in the city of Xenia alone that the city will spend about $20,000 to $25,000 in overtime to be able to direct traffic and monitor this large of a crowd of people. Keep in mind, that's not something the city gets directly reimbursed for. I read some minutes to a meeting the other day where there was some spitting, spatting between some county officials in the city about the city not really being willing at this point to invest in some banners for downtown to welcome the Hamvention. I think they should have bought them. I think the county ended up buying them. But the point that I disagreed with was some implications from city leaders and county leaders that the city's not doing enough. The city of Xenia and the township are going to spend a lot of money to ensure this event goes off without a hitch, and they're not going to directly be reimbursed. Taxpayers are going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars for this event to be held here. The hope is that with sales tax and the hotel taxes and food taxes that you'll see an increase. It's going to have to be a really, really big bump for the city to see a direct payoff in $25,000 to $30,000 worth of investment. But they're doing it. They're doing it because they want the event here. They know how important it is to the economy. They know how important it is to the county, to the city, to the township. All hands are on deck for this. All the red carpets are being rolled out. Community is going to learn fairly quickly what Hamvention is and what Hamvention is not. And I know there's a lot of fear about traffic, and it's going to be a pain for a few hours. But it's going to come in like a wave on Friday, and it's going to go out like a wave on Saturday night. You're going to see only about half the attendance, if that, on Sunday before the event closes out at 1 o'clock. They will take a couple days in to pack up, and they'll be gone. And Hamvention, the first one in Xenia, will be but a memory. And a week after the event, the volunteers from the Dayton Amateur Radio Station will come back together and start planning it all again for next year. I don't know why we do it. I only know that I'm looking forward to seeing friends, seeing family at the event. I'm looking forward to being in my backyard here in Xenia, Ohio. And I'm glad and happy that the City of Hospitality gets to host an international event, especially one with amateur radio, because amateur radio is about hospitality, about communication throughout the world, about reaching out from radios in houses all across this country and talking all across this world, representing the good nature of people who just want to share a memory, share a conversation, and they're doing it through this great technology. All right, guys, I am out of here. Again, this has been X-Town, the podcast. I am Josh Long. I invite you to visit xeniaword.com. There you will find local news, events, and views for our community, by our community. And I will encourage you to like and share us on Facebook as well at facebook.com/XeniaWord. Until next time, I'm out of here. Hey, what is this?
Xenia's word on the street.